Okay, so this is our new science unit and we're going to be looking at space and the solar system. So for today's lesson, our learning objective is to be able to describe and represent the movement of the Earth and other planets relative to the Sun in our solar system. So I'm sure you all know that the Sun is the centre of our solar system, and there are 8 planets that orbit the Sun. We've got Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune. Now, Pluto is also on here because it was thought of as a planet, but in 2006 it was changed to be a dwarf planet. So the way that I remember the planets in order is I say my very easy method just speeds up naming planets. So the reason why I use this to remember the order of the planets is the first letter of each of these words is the same as the planet. So we've got my, Mercury, very, Venus, easy, Earth, method, Mars, just, Jupiter, speed, Saturn, up, Uranus, naming, Neptune. Now I put planets in brackets because the sentence makes sense, but you've got to remember that Pluto is now just a dwarf planet. So the Sun is actually the only star that is in our solar system. All of the other stars that you can see at night time are actually stars from that are millions of miles away, so they're not actually in our solar system. So it's important as well to know that in our solar system, the Sun is at the centre and the Earth and the other planets orbit around the Sun. So you can see here that they follow these routes and they go around and they orbit around the Sun. So as you can see here, this is Earth and this is the route that Earth takes as it's orbiting around. Now this here arrow here is to represent the Earth actually turning on its axle as it orbits around the Sun. So then let's learn a little bit about each of the planets in our solar system. So we've got Mercury. Mercury is 58 million kilometres distance away from the Sun. Its size is 4,879.4 kilometres in diameter. Then we've got Venus. Venus is 12,104 kilometres size in diameter. And the distance from the Sun is 108.27 million kilometres. So Mercury is the closest planet to the Sun, as you can see. On our solar system, Mercury is here. And it's the first word, my, so Mercury is the closest. Then we've got Earth. So Earth, the size of Earth in diameter is 12,742 kilometres. And its distance from the Sun is 151.75 million kilometres. We've got Mars, which is 6,791 kilometres in size for the diameter. And the distance from the Sun, it's getting a little bit further now, is 227.9 million kilometres. We've got Jupiter. The size of Jupiter is 139,822 kilometres. And its distance from the Sun is 778.89 million kilometres. We've then got Saturn. The size of Saturn is 116,464 kilometres, and its distance from the Sun is 1.5 billion kilometres. We've got Uranus, which is 50,724 kilometres size in diameter, and the distance from the Sun is 2.94 billion kilometres. And then we've got Neptune, and the size of Neptune is 49,244 kilometres, and the distance from the Sun is 4.48 billion kilometres. So you can go back on this video and read some of the other facts about these planets if you'd like to. So there's lots of information about how many moons the planets have, the length of the year for each of these planets, how long the day is. So for example, Mars, the length of a day on Earth is 24 hours. However, the length of one day on Mars would be 1 day and 37 minutes, so 24 hours and 37 minutes. So the days on Mars are longer than the days on Earth. It also tells you about the temperature on the planet. So Mars is between minus 140 degrees Celsius and 20 degrees Celsius, and it tells you about the atmosphere. So if you want, you can pause the video and go back and find out some other facts about the different planets. Okay, then, so after Neptune, we've got Pluto. But as of 2006, Pluto was reclassified as a dwarf planet, so it wasn't classified as a planet in our solar system anymore. Okay then, so thinking about our solar system, we now know that the sun is at the centre of our solar system. However, up until the 1500s, people actually believed that the Earth was central to everything. So the moon, the sun, and other planets actually went around the Earth. This would be called a geocentric theory of the solar system. So here you can see the Earth is in the middle, and the sun and the other planets would then orbit around the Earth. So a heliocentric theory of the solar system is the fact that the sun is in the centre. And then the Earth and the other planets actually orbit around the sun. Famous scientists such as Galileo and Johannes Kepler built on the theory that Copernicus had developed, even though the theory had been condemned by others. So at first, this idea that the sun was in the centre of the universe, it was condemned, so it wasn't accepted by anybody, it wasn't supported by many. The churches actually said that it goes against their belief, so they said it wasn't allowed. And we're going to go a little bit more into that in the next slide. So we've got an ancient Greek astronomer, Aristicus of Samos, is believed to be the first person to say out loud that Earth wasn't at the centre of everything, and it was actually the sun. So this is way back in around 300 BC. And before this, there's thought to have philosophers such as Philolaus and then Hesitas had thought that the Earth was moving around some kind of central fire, but they wasn't sure what that was. It was Aristarchus who actually was the first person to say out loud that it was the Earth was going around the sun. So then some more information about the heliocentric solar system. I shouldn't say universe, I should just say solar system. So we've just spoke about, haven't we, about Aristarchus being the first person to actually say out loud about the Earth going around the sun. But Nicholas Copernicus, who was a Polish mathematician and astronomer, published a book in 1542, which talks about the idea that the Earth rotates on an axis. So when we said about the Earth turns around on its axis as it orbits the sun. He also talked about other planets also orbiting the sun. This is known as the heliocentric theorem. Galileo, who was born in 1564 until 1642, built on the work of Copernicus and found more evidence using a telescope. But the Catholic Church actually decided that this theory, that the sun was in the centre and all of the other planets and Earth went around the sun, was against their beliefs. So Galileo was actually put on trial. Eventually got put on house arrest where he had to remain until his death. So because he spoke out about his evidence that he found using the telescope, that the sun was actually in the centre, the church decided that they was against this, they didn't support it, so they actually arrested him. So then nowadays, what do people actually believe? So the latest technologies now enable us to see much more of space and gain more and more details and evidence to support the theories. So we've got more and more evidence now to support the heliocentric solar system, that the sun is in the middle and that the other planets actually orbit around the sun. Scientists and astronomers are still discovering new things in the cosmos and will continue to do so as long as humans have an inquiring mind. Okay then, so your worksheet. So your worksheet is going to be put on as an assignment on Teams. So you need to make sure that after you've watched this lesson, that you go into Teams and you go onto your assignment. So your first activity looks a little bit like this. And what you need to do for each of these planets is you need to name them. So if you can remember my method to help you remember them, if you're struggling a little bit. So my very easy method just speeds up naming. There's 8 planets, and your other one would be Pluto for planets, but obviously that's not a planet anymore, it's a dwarf planet. So your first one is so it'd be Mercury, Ferae, Venus, Easy, Earth, Method, Mars, and so on. So you just got to put in the names of each of the planets here. If you'd like to up-level this work a little bit more, what you can do is you can go back on this video and put in some facts about each of the planets and you label them. Okay, then after that, you've got a question. How does the Earth and other planets move in relation to the sun? So the Earth and other planets, something around the sun. So what do? It starts with an O. The Earth and other planets, something around the sun. And then your last activity is you need to write down as many facts that you know, or so facts that you might have heard of from this lesson, or if not, you can go and research these solar systems and find out some extra facts about the different theories of the solar system. So we've got the geocentric solar system, which is the theory that the Earth is in the centre of the solar system and the sun and other planets orbit around the Earth. And we've also got the heliocentric solar system, which is the theory that the sun is in the centre of the solar system and the other planets orbit around the sun. Okay, so don't forget to go onto Teams to complete this worksheet for today's lesson, and I will see you tomorrow for the next space lesson.